Amazing. Rocky, I want to see you.
I really don't think they flew 90 billion light years to start a fight.
Some say chill days so long gone, can't bring them back, no magic wand. Counting white cotton clouds, painted on the blue sky's crowd. And yet somehow that way it's baked with eternal hopeful flair. Pineapple pizza, Hawaiian ice freeze, yeah. Can't wait to be a free days of you and me. I'm sailing. I'm sailing. I just can't wait for free days of you and me.
He's been cited by Forbes, The Wall Street Journal, Benny Johnson, Timcast, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and even the U.S. government.
But soon they'll wake up to see the summer sizzle in me.
We're doomed to this never end.
Direwolf's back and so are you.
Oh yeah,
Belvedere flying over the moon.
oh yeah.
And everyone's singing just the right tune. Maestro blasting on the jazz flute.
We are all participating in mandatory fun activities.
Jelly bean bonus, every flavor in the bag. Super movie star, but first gotta join SAG.
Keep our eyes open.
Wonder Ken, super friend, where are you? Get a search warrant for the near clear blue.
It's scooping time.
And can't you believe that? We've been waiting on you, can't you see that? Put away the bad things they said to you.
You are a sad, strange little man. Have my
After all, just have to call and say you're some kind of
Because you are the special.
epic. Epic, yeah, that's what you do. I'm talking about epic, it's all you know how to do.
You wake up blue to
Epic, it's on repeat for you. Oh, epic. Epic.
Hear ye, come on, to the never stopping daily strife, and it's called simpler times, they beckon so, floating on the water with no phone. Can we get away now, find a way now, somehow step out of this stream into a dream of slow it down. Jay says that he remembers a place before the never, ever, ever river severed our tranquility. Counting cars by Highway 30, sitting in the porch swing, guessing colors so poorly. Yeah. Is the next one a blue or red one? Maybe silver, maybe gray. What a way to spend a day.
Ladies
and gentlemen, it's the WDW Pro Show! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Pro Show. It is a Herculean effort we are pulling off this week as we are doing Southeast Game Exchange. We also have had Dean Cain on the show this week, and now we're going to be joined by someone very special, a conversation I've been looking forward to having for quite a while. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the author of Revolution, which was number 2 on the New York Times bestsellers list yesterday. It's been in the top 5 out of the last 6 weeks. Sold more than 50,000 copies in the last few weeks. And, well, let's just say the dinosaur media is not happy about that. Please welcome, folks, Eric Metaxas is here on the show.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Happy to have you. Happy to have you, Mr. Metaxas, and a longtime admirer of your work. I can't wait to get into the conversation today. But before we do, I'd just like to ask you, if you would mind, could you share with the audience who may not be familiar, who are you, what do you do, and, well, what are you up to these days?
Who am I? That's like an existential question. That's heavy, but I'll keep it simple.
All right, Marty McFly.
I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a son. I grew up in New York City and in Connecticut, and I am a writer. Mainly, I'm known. I guess I'm known as the host of my podcast, the Eric Metaxas Show. I do a thing called Socrates in the City. But a lot of people know me mainly as a writer. I've written a lot of books. I wrote a book called Bonhoeffer, which was a huge bestseller a few years ago about a pastor who got involved in the plot to kill Hitler. It was turned into a movie called Bonhoeffer. I've just written a lot of books, but the new book is called, I was just going to say, Is Atheism Dead? That's not right. That's the last book. I've written a lot of books. The new one is about the American Revolution.
Revolution, sir.
And it is, I mean, I wrote it because I say this is our super centennial. This is our 250th, the super centennial of the country. And I just thought I need to write a book that tells the whole story of how the country came into being, what happened 250 years ago. And it turns out to be a very exciting story. Every American should be inspired by our story. And I wrote it because I think a lot of us have drifted away from knowing this. Like, we've been living in a time the last 40, 50 years where America has been denigrated. A lot of people have just kind of drifted away from celebrating who we are. And I thought that's kind of sick, actually, because when you know who we are and how we came into being and how people suffered and died so that we could have liberty and self-government, it's a pretty horrible thing if we don't understand what that is. And so I said, I want to write a kind of a fun book that tells the story. And as you mentioned, it's been selling so well. I'm amazed.
Despite their best efforts to stop you, you're still succeeding.
Well, it's kind of funny, though, isn't it? It's like, I think that, I'll tell you, when the book first came out, so it's like 5 weeks ago, it was number 2 on the New York Times list. And it was last night it came out, it was number 2 again, right? When it came out as number 2, the number 1 book, according to the New York Times, was the Jill Biden book. Now, I don't know anybody who really wants to read the Jill Biden book, but we looked into it, and the official publishing numbers were that her book sold 25% less copies, fewer copies than my book. So the New York Times is always kind of pushing, it's not a true list, right? It's like, it's kind of what they want it to be. But even so, they had to put my book at number 2. Last night, they put it at number 2. What's the number 1 book? Oh, it happens to be a book by 2 New York Times reporters. So yes, the mainstream media, or in this case, the leftist lunatic media, I mean, because it doesn't get worse than the New York Times. They don't like the true story of America. They'd rather have the kind of the sad story that you can watch on Ken Burns's PBS version, which is kind of depressing, to be honest. I mean, it's not kind of depressing. It is depressing. It's not exciting. And it's kind of like the radical left. It's like if they're doing a remake of the Rocky movie, they would make you walk out of the theater like, I don't know who really was the hero. Like, they both had their stories, That's not a good movie. And so when they tell the story of America, it's exactly the same thing. They don't really feel like they should celebrate America. They want to tell you about what's wrong with America. There's something sick about that. It would be like if it's your daughter's 10th birthday and you're like, well, you know what? We don't want to celebrate too much. All your friends and family, we're going to focus on where you can do better on your birthday. Like, it's pretty sick. And that's kind of where we are in America. So I wrote my book as a celebration, but again, I shouldn't say I wrote it as a celebration. It is a celebration, but I didn't write it that way. I just said, I want to tell the story. or the stories of what happened, 250 years ago. Turns out it is something to celebrate. Turns out these are amazing heroes. We need to know their names and their stories. You can't help but get inspired when you know it. And so I said, I've got to tell these stories for a new generation in a way that I hope is fun. And a lot of people have been saying that, I can't put it down. It reads like a novel. As an author, that's the greatest thing you want to hear, because a dull history book is a bad history book. So I am really excited that many Americans are familiarizing themselves with, our great story, this is the time. This is the summer.
So this channel and what we do here is we cover entertainment, we cover stories, and we believe that stories really matter. We think that stories actually are the embedded ethos that we role play out. And so I wanted to thank you, first of all, for having written this book, for folks who can see it out there, Amazing Grace by Eric Metaxas. And it talks about William Wilberforce. And one of the things that I've been intrigued by has been the effort to capture the narrative surrounding America. And so I'm very thankful for this new book that you've written, Revolution. So there's two areas I'd like to go into within the sort of the confines of what we cover here in entertainment, which is essentially the story of America. It seems to me, Mr. Metaxas, that there's an effort to redefine the story of America in a lesser than way, and to take away much of what has made this country and its adventure so worthwhile and so important. What are your thoughts on that? Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say there's a term for that. And this is a technical term. Maybe your audience is not familiar with it. This is called lying. It's called lying. Because when you do the research, as I did, and you read, dozens, scores and scores of books, I mean, I can't even tell you, the story that comes out is undeniably beautiful and inspiring. This is one of the greatest stories in the history of the world, the birth of the greatest nation in the history of the world, a nation that says our rights come from God and no one can take those rights from you. No government, no one can take those rights from you. It's an idea that is so beautiful, and it comes into history 250 years ago, and it leads to freedom and flourishing. And that you have to say, of course, America is not perfect, because America is full of human beings and we've got flaws. But in terms of nations in the world, there has never been a nation like the United States of America. And even if you're aware of all of our flaws and our shortcomings, there's still never been a nation like America. It's absolutely amazing. And I think part of the story is that, where do you get this idea of liberty? Where do these ideas come from? Well, I think, again, PBS and a lot of mainstream media, they're uncomfortable. The New York Times is uncomfortable. Why? Because these ideas come from the Bible. They don't like that, right? These ideas come from the Bible. The people of the revolution said, our rights come from God. No one can take our rights from us. We're made in God's image. So Thomas Jefferson, famously in the Declaration, says, we're created. Obviously, we're created by God. So the government doesn't give us our rights. Our rights are given to us by dint of the fact that we are human beings created in the image of God. And I think that you get a lot of people in elite culture, they're uncomfortable by this, and they don't like celebrating, celebrating America. I was saying it's like, if your kid has a 10th birthday and you say to your daughter, well, but we don't want to celebrate because there's a lot of flaws, and your friends and family, we're going to gather and we're going to tell you what you've been doing wrong on your birthday. Like, how sick is that? That's what it is not to celebrate America. It's a nation that we've overcome most of our shortcomings. It's kind of amazing. We ought to celebrate that. But the main thing for me is to know the story and the stories, to know the names: Nathan Hale, Henry Knox, George Washington, John Adams, Samuel Adams, John Hancock, Paul Revere. These are amazing heroes. And when you know their stories, you can't help but get happy. You can't help but be inspired. So I'm fascinated that a lot of people get that. And there's a lot of people that they just don't like it. So we're living in a weird time, where people they kind of feel like, well, I need to wring my hands and be uncomfortable and guilty. There's a time to celebrate. And, if our 250th anniversary is not a time to celebrate, I don't know when there is a time to celebrate.
Sure. And the effort has been redefine and malign. Now, in particular, I'd like to ask you, because you didn't name this the American Revolution. You named it Revolution, the birth of the greatest nation. And in particular, I wonder if that's because the other revolutions were catastrophic. Only one revolution produced what we see. And you've been talking about some of these, the elements that generated this. What are your thoughts on how this came to be? How in the world did we get to a point where uniquely in the moment of history, this story begins, the story of America, with people essentially foregoing the power they could have had and gifting the power to the people? How did this come to be, and what sets it apart from other revolutions?
I mean, first of all, thank you for saying that, because I think that's an important point, that I titled the book Revolution, not the American Revolution, because I said there's only been one revolution that has succeeded. And we as Americans need to know that. The whole world needs to know that. There's only been one revolution. The French Revolution is a bitter joke. It's a tragedy. The French Revolution, they had all the language, egalite, fraternité, liberté. They have all these terms, but what happens in France, they don't succeed the way we succeeded. It turns into a bloodbath, a reign of terror. After they kill the king and the queen, they kill the priests and the nuns. They are anti-clerical, anti-church, anti-God. They thought that they could achieve something by kicking God out, not just the king, but kicking God out. Our revolution understood that, yeah, we're going to get rid of King George III, but we're going to put ourselves under God. God is our king. So they're going back to the Old Testament idea of the Israelites coming out of Egypt, coming out from under Pharaoh, and saying, okay, well, now we're going to be free and we're going to look directly to God. Now, if you're a secularist, that makes you uncomfortable, but that's the story of the American Revolution. Everybody involved, including the least religious figures, including Jefferson, Franklin, they all got the memo. This is what we're doing. We are going to get rid of an earthly king, but now we're going to put ourselves under the authority of God, our king. And of course, when you believe in liberty, it means we're not going to force people to go to church. We're not going to be a theocracy. No. We are free. So people can believe anything they want. You can be an atheist. You can be a Muslim. You do whatever you want to do. But the idea of liberty comes from the Bible. We're modeling it on this Old Testament idea of the Israelites coming out from Pharaoh and Egypt. That's the story of America. And so when I title the book Revolution, what I'm saying is the only time this has ever happened that a nation has pulled away from tyranny, from Pharaoh, from what, and actually succeeded in modern times is America. The French Revolution, as I said, is a dramatic failure. I mean, they trade their king for what? For an emperor dictator. That's not a good trade. We actually managed to pull this off because we knew that the only way you can govern yourself is if you put the reason our coins say "In God We Trust" is because we understand that's the only way that it works. That we have to have this common understanding that we don't want to be a country where the government is going to tell us what to do and what not to do, but then we have to govern ourselves. How do you govern yourself? Well, all the founders, George Washington, John Adams, they wrote about this. They all understood it comes from having virtue and character, which mostly comes from faith. So we can't force faith, but that's how it works. And I think that the secular left in America, they get very uncomfortable. So they just kind of wriggle away from it as though there's another way to have liberty, but there's not. I mean, if you can figure that out, tell me what the other way is, but I don't see how you get there.
So talk with us about how organized the effort is to redefine the American story. Is this all synthetic, or is it organic, or who is out there trying to redefine what America has been and sort of assign it a negativity that perhaps we look at it and we say, well, history is always messy because people are always messy. But these people who set the country on its course were extraordinary in ways that made this possible. Who's behind trying to change that story and teach our children a different path?
Well, it's a lot of people. I mean, again, there are a lot of people that are fundamentally uncomfortable with the idea of God. So they pretend that you can get America and liberty without God. And I say, show me how. And I'm not joking. Show me. Because to me, when you look at the French Revolution, or God forbid, the Bolshevik Revolution or the Chinese Communist Revolution, they all promise the same thing. We're going to give the power to the people. We're going to take it away from the elites and give it to the people. What actually happens in every case is the murder of millions of people, the torture of millions of people, the Gulag Archipelago, just the opposite of what they promised. It's like a diabolical bait and switch every time. But there are people that they just don't care. They're just convinced, well, we'll try it again. We'll try it again. We got Mamdani in New York where I live. You've got all these people that they somehow seem to think that, no, it'll work this time, or at least they're claiming it'll work. And what they're banking on, and this is why I wrote the book, they're banking on enough Americans that are ignorant of our story and of how liberty works. If we get enough people that don't get this, we can fool them. We can sell them the lie again and again and again. Just as a lot of French were sold that lie in the French Revolution, just as a lot of Soviets and Russians were sold that lie in 1917, we're going to sell that lie, and then we got them. And so I think you just have a panoply, a spectrum of people that they believe this idea. I mean, we have people in the Senate today who do not know what the Declaration of Independence says, that our rights come from God. These are members of the Senate. So if you think things are bad, I mean, if you have that in the Senate, you know that there are tons of Americans that don't know our history. If you don't know our history, you are open, you're a sitting duck for deception, and that's what's happening. That's how you elect people that are promising the same thing that was promised by Vladimir Lenin in 1917. I mean, it's utopianist nonsense, and they're going to enslave you. And so these forces have always existed. I mean, the British were doing this, in the 1760s, but we had people in America who said, no, we're not buying it. You're wrong. You need to explain. How can you tax us? How can you if you don't explain that to our understanding, we're not paying the taxes. We're not your slaves. And that's something that, again, it's inspiring when you read these stories, when you learn these stories, you're inspired because they're not blowing smoke. They're saying this is the way it works. This is what we believe, and we will bow to no king. We govern ourselves. These are beautiful ideas in the history of the world that have led to tremendous wealth and flourishing around the world. And I think that, again, we have to get to where we're celebrating this and understanding this, because otherwise all the folks that would deceive us will succeed. And again, we know that a lot of them are succeeding in deceiving people because many Americans don't know this stuff.
So let's think through this together, and then I'll present an idea, and you tell me what you think about it. One of the proponents who's been arguing in the direction that you're talking about as a dangerous idea that has led to revolutions that collapse is Sam Harris, famous for being one of the four horsemen of the atheists, right? So he posits that you can form an axiomatic belief that human well-being is something that we can look at objectively in some way, some rubric, and that we can all agree, separating everything out from God, that if we strive towards making a better world for humans in terms of well-being, that we will usher in some sort of free will, non-existent but deterministic utopia. And I share your skepticism in that, and I think that leads to these kinds of issues. If I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that at least one of, and maybe the key component, the axiomatic belief that brings forth America, is the idea that every person is infinitely valuable, that they're endowed with at least, what would you say, the image of God, and that because all rights come from God, that this then allows a flourishing, like technological flourishing, market flourishing, and all of these sorts of things. And so I think that I think people are persuaded for some reason into believing that we're deterministic, that we don't have free will, even though that creates chaos. So I don't know how, and I don't know why you would get out of bed exactly every day if that's the case. Like, I just don't understand why you would. I have no idea what would be your motivation. But you say that the divine, the belief in the divine, and the belief that the divine is intrinsically linked to the human experience, that is a key component of what is America.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And I say to anybody, listen, if you don't believe in God, read my book, Is Atheism Dead? Because I think that that pretty much puts to bed the idea that there's no God. And I say this honestly. I think that science has pointed more and more clearly to the idea that where we live, it was all designed. I don't think that's debatable at this point. So if you say, well, I still got questions, that's fine, but educate yourself. The latest information, I would say, from science points in the direction of the existence of God so dramatically that you will be actually shocked. And that's my book, Is Atheism Dead? There are many other books, but that's the one that I obviously wrote. But I think that if you talk to the people of the Revolutionary era, every one of them believed that the only way we can govern ourselves is if the people have virtue. I mean, they all wrote this. So you have to deal with that the freest nation in the history of the world came into being because people were willing to risk their lives for these ideas. And at the heart of it is the idea that we have a population that can govern themselves. These are virtuous people. If you have people who are lunatics, you cannot govern yourself. So you have to have virtuous people. You have to have enough people, and you have to have a culture of virtue. And all of the founders said this comes from faith. Now, it doesn't mean that you might just pick this up from the culture and you don't even know why you believe this is the right thing. But they understood, and Washington writes about this really clearly. I quote him at the end of my book, that this comes from religious faith. And so it's nice to say, well, I think it can come from other means, but you really, at some point, somebody with a bigger gun than you is going to say, shut up and do what I tell you. That's the history of the world. And you have to say, either I'm willing to die for what I believe in, or I'm going to resist you, or you're going to say, oh, okay, I guess I have no choice. You really need to understand what you believe. And why is it that everybody in the revolutionary era believed what we're talking about here? So, the idea that we can just say, well, okay, but now everybody's nicer. So people like Sam Harris act like, well, everybody's nicer now, and everybody in my neighborhood in Brooklyn is really cool, and they're not going to murder me. Well, that's really nice, but that doesn't work on a world level, because there are bad guys. There are thugs. There are villains. There are rapists and murderers. And this has always been the case in the world. But a lot of progressives try to act like, well, we've evolved past that. They were saying that, the progressives in the 1920s and 30s, that we've evolved past that. Well, then we get to Auschwitz. Then we get to the Holocaust. Tell the people going in boxcars to Treblinka and the death camps that humanity has evolved, that we're nicer now. What about Pol Pot, and the Khmer Rouge? I mean, there is evil in the world, and you need to deal with that. And I think a lot of these progressives, they don't want to deal with it. Basically, they're uncomfortable by the idea of God, or by the idea of these American ideas, and so they just kind of are willful and saying, well, we can do it this way. It has never worked. And again, on paper, I don't know how you can get it to where, like, show me how it's going to work. It doesn't. But I guess they're afraid maybe of theocracy. They're afraid that some Christians are gonna it's like the Handmaid's Tale. And what I find funny is that the story of America is the opposite of that. I mean, the birth of America is the birth of the idea of religious liberty, that nobody can force you to believe. So at the heart of all of this stuff is liberty, and the idea that nobody has the right to force you to believe. Who wants to force you to believe what they believe? Islamofascists want to do that. If they can take over, they can get power, they will force you to be a second-class citizen or to convert, or they'll kill you. Who else wants to force you to believe? Atheists. Go to North Korea, go to communist China and say, like, I'm going to have a church in my house, and me and my friends, we're going to read the Bible. See how the communist Chinese deal with you. Let's say you're a Uyghur Muslim in China. See how they deal with you. The communist Chinese deal with you because you say you believe in God instead of the government. Authoritarian governments, they want to force you to buy into their ideology. The only ideology that does not force you into buying it is biblical faith, is the God of the Bible. That's the irony. And so if you think about it, that's what the founders discovered. They said, we got 13 colonies, all these different denominations, but we have Christian faith in common. And if we really squeeze hard, what pops out? Liberty. The idea that we are not going to establish a religion. We're not going to tell you need to go to the Congregationalist church on a Sunday morning. We're no longer the world of the Massachusetts Bay Colony of 1635. We're in a new place. So we have these Christian beliefs, but the central belief of the Christian faith is liberty. That's a wild idea in human history, and it leads to the greatest nation in the history of the world. Americans used to understand this. Most Americans understood all this stuff. And I think because we've drifted so far is why I wrote the book. I said, we need to know our story. We've drifted far, and we got a lot of people kind of gaslighting us about, hey, everything can be great. Under this progressive social democracy or democratic socialism. It's like, well, not really. And if you don't know your history, you're going to be open to those lies.
Right. 100 million deaths was not enough. Let's start with the 78 degrees on your thermostat, and we'll go from there. What I love about what you just said is the aspect of free agency. So we're talking about the divine, but part of the idea of Christianity is the concept that you have to freely come into relationship into God. And I know there are doctrinal differences between different denominations, but the idea of free agency is amazing to me, because if that was a pillar of building America, what does free agency do then? Well, free agency, and we're not talking about the MLB or the NBA right now, folks, but free agency, you as a unique individual who gets to decide your path forward under, as they would have said at that point, under hopeful the watchful eye of providence with a capital P. If you have free agency, well, what does that gestate into being then? Well, the free market. And what does free agency then birth in with the free market? Well, science, which has been sort of this academic process, suddenly has a monetary reason to then produce great and wonderful things, which then brings upon us all of these great inventions that America bestows upon the world. So from this axiomatic belief in the divine, and it's worth pursuing the divine, and how could you evolve any higher than looking to the highest, best possible measure and then going for that with all your soul, right? That would be part of those most important commandments, the two of them. It seems to me that America, whether knowingly or unknowingly, was the birthplace of the modern technological world, and we take that for granted. We just totally dismiss that without recognizing what was the bedrock that created that.
Everything you said is beautiful and true. I mean, who put a man on the moon? Everywhere you look. I mean, Thomas Edison, he didn't grow up in Belgium. We are a nation that, and again, this is God's idea, right? Is that he creates us in his image. Human beings are amazing. All they need to do is be unshackled, to be free to do what they can do. And what happens? You just get extraordinary leaps forward, whether technologically or in every area. You see amazing things happen. That's the story of America. There is no country that begins to compete with the United States of America. I mean, it's just an astonishing thing. And it is not because we Americans are better. It is not. We're equal to anybody in the world. The difference is our system, and that people buy into the system, which is why, when we have immigration, if people don't buy into this, they can't become Americans. We're an idea. We're a nation. We're a new kind of nation in the history of the world, where we believe in these ideas, we believe in these freedoms. And if you don't believe in that stuff, if you want to have Sharia law, you can't live in America. If you want to say, well, I want to beat my wife and marry a 12-year-old, and it's none of your business. In America, you can't exist here. We have a kind of a fundamental series or set of beliefs. And if you don't buy into that, you can't be American. But if you do buy into that, anyone can be American. It's got nothing to do with the color of your skin or what country you come from. So these are beautiful ideas, and we get to live with those ideas. And it's why we need to celebrate them. We need to teach them to our kids. I'm doing a kid's version of this book because I said, we've got to get this out there. It really is. I mean, in my lifetime, so many people have drifted away from understanding this. When I was a little kid, most Americans understood this stuff, but we've drifted really far. And if you want to know why we're open to lunacy, it's just because a lot of folks don't know our history, and it's a beautiful history. And I think we owe it to the men who suffered and died in the revolution to know their stories.
So it's very important that I ask you this next topic and the next question that we've got for you, because there's probably nobody better to ask, and there's nobody better to learn from in terms of one of the ways that the American story has been denigrated, and it's been attempted to have an ideological capture of it. You were just talking about the idea that when humans are free, that they then are inclined to flourish. And obviously that would be the case, because we all want to have a better life for ourselves if we have any sort of sanity, okay? And then for our kids as well. So left to flourish and left to our own devices and our ingenuity, have at it, eh? Okay, here's the question though. So many of the those who are negative voices, the boo birds of the US of A, they come out and they say, well, there was slavery, and therefore these founding fathers and the society are irredeemably corrupt, tear down their statues, give them no credit, and if you think that we'll stop with the ones that we've done so far, think again. We're going to play it coy, but we'll get those statues too in a few. And so the reason, and I'm going to hold this book up again, the Amazing Grace book that you wrote about William Wilberforce, could you talk about, I know he's not American, but can you talk about what led to the West And specifically, since we're talking about America right now, what led to this nation and England dropping something that had been part of human society for thousands of years? And specifically this idea that we should have just had it right from the beginning, and there's no evolutionary moment, or transition to, hey, this freedom idea should be for everybody. Walk us through why their voices are wrong.
First of all, I mean, a couple things. First of all, it is Bible-believing Christians that led the abolitionist movement, period, end of sentence. Bible-believing Christians who got the idea from the Bible that we are all equal. That idea comes from the Bible. It doesn't come from the French Enlightenment. It doesn't come from atheistic philosophy. Atheistic philosophy or Darwinism tells you we're not equal, so shut up.
Survival of the strongest.
The Bible says, no, we are all equal. God created us equal. So it's a radical idea. And anybody pretends that you can be against racism or against slavery, but you can't tell me where those ideas come from. They come from the Bible. Just because you say, well, I don't believe in the Bible and I believe them. You could believe the earth is flat. It doesn't matter what you believe. It matters what is true. And the fact is that you cannot reconcile that this beautiful idea that racism is wrong, we're all equal, with a lot of other ideologies. It's only the Bible that produced people like William Wilberforce, who's the subject of my book, who said we have to fight against slavery and the slave trade. But to take it to America, and this is, again, why I think it's so important people know the story, and I hope they read my book, is that the founders, this lie that has been pushed, that all the founders were pro-slavery, that is a foul lie. First of all, only 1/3 of the signers of the Declaration were slave holders, 1/3. 11 of the 13 colonies, now think of this, 11 of the 13 colonies wanted to keep the paragraph in about slavery being a bad thing in the Declaration of Independence. I mean, here you have Thomas Jefferson putting it in there. He's a slaveholder, but he's saying this is wrong. He wants to put in the Declaration of Independence. It was Georgia and North Carolina or South Carolina that insisted, that blackmailed the 11 others into getting rid of that paragraph. So this lie that the founders loved slavery and that is a really a horrible lie and a slander. They did not. John Adams and Samuel Adams and James Otis Jr. in the beginning of my book, they all wrote against slavery in the 1760s. The more Christian you were, the more clearly you were against slavery. But this idea that all the founders were good with that, and they 11 of the 13 wanted to include Jefferson's paragraph against slavery in the Declaration. They were blackmailed by the slave states, and it was a bitter, bitter pill to swallow. So it is really just a horrible lie, but it's been pushed by academics, it's been pushed by the left, it's been pushed by the mainstream media, as though all of these founders were pro-slavery. That it is simply a lie. It's a foul, vile, pernicious lie that has been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and we got to push back. We've got to say, now, I don't write too much about it in my book, but I got to tell you, everywhere I go, people bring this up, and I think, how have we gotten to a point where we've bought this lie from the 1619 Project and the New York Times and all the leftists in higher education and on PBS and Ken Burns? They're pushing this idea. If it were true, I would say, okay, it's true, but it's not true. And we need to assert that the men who are in my book from what happened 250 years ago, most of them were opposed to slavery. So how do we get this idea that, oh, no, they were all on board with that? It's just, if you tell a lie often enough, it just becomes part of the oxygen, and we're all breathing it. But it does a great disservice to these men, and I think we need to at least be honest about it.
And partially, I think what you're saying too is that the founding of America was based on the idea that there are objective moral truths, and therefore the idea that subjugating another human being or treating someone poorly because of their ethnicity, that these are objectively evil, they're not subjectively offensive.
Well,
and
think
that's
about
the differentiation.
Think about this, that Georgia and South Carolina, when they signed the Declaration of Independence, you talk about a compromise. They're signing something that says all men are created equal. So in other words, they were forced to sign something that says all men are created equal. They knew where this is going. They knew where this is leading, that right now they can cling to slavery, but that in time, if the nation holds together, there's going to be a reckoning. And we know there was a reckoning. It was called the Civil War, where slavery is abolished. So it's, you know, it's a much more complicated story than the left wants it to be. They just want to kind of, they just want to talk about America as though like they're cursing the country, like it's just you're bad, 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 and you'll never be better, which is pretty sick, actually. You know, it's like telling your kid, you know, you're bad, you know, you're just like your mother, you're just like your father, you'll never improve. That's sick. And that's kind of what they want to do with America. So they are fundamentally, they betray themselves as being fundamentally anti-American. There's nothing positive there. And I think what they really want to do is they want to burn it all down.
Sure.
They want to tear down the statues, just like in the French Revolution, just like in the Bolshevik Revolution. They want to destroy the country. We need to take them at their word. We need to say, yeah, we see what you're trying to do, and we're going to fight you. This is not going to go well for anybody. A lot of people are going to suffer, just as they suffered in the French Revolution, just as they suffered in the Bolshevik Revolution and the Chinese Marxist Revolution. People suffer. So we need to know our history and to stand against this, you know, the siren song, which always leads to suffering. We need to stand against it. But again, one of the ways to stand against it, you got to know your history. That's why I wrote the book at this time in history. I said, this is our 250th year. I call it the super centennial. We need to really know this. And so I wrote it. I hope everybody says it's a page turner. It's fun to read. I as an author, you know, it's a joy to hear that, but I feel like, you know, this is our duty to know our history. So I'm hoping this summer, you know, mandatory beach reading, folks, please, you know, pick it up and learn the beautiful story of this country.
That's right. It's a very important book at a very important time. And folks, you all know, I mean, we cover this every single day. We cover the rewriting of our mythos, of our legends, of our stories, because they're attempting to rewrite the culture, because they don't like the culture. They don't like who we are. They don't like our society, because they believe that on the other side of the utopia that they're going to build off of the crumbled remains of America, they'll be the leaders of that. And boy, isn't that a dream, eh? All right. Well, Eric, one more thing I'd like to ask you before we get our audience involved in the story today. You have had difficulty at times getting this story out to redefine back to what it should be, the history of America, the truth, the reality. Talk to us a little bit about the efforts to strangle the story, to shadow ban, to deplatform. And I know that you've had horrific challenges placed upon you by Silicon Valley, perhaps at the behest of the prior administration. But walk us through your journey and whether or not you think we're on the other side.
Well, I think we're in the middle of the fight. We're in the middle of the war, but the war could have been over. It's kind of like the story I tell in my book about Washington, you know, escaping across the East River with his army in 1776. He lived to fight another day. That was miraculous. I think that we've been given a reprieve and that we're in the fight, and I think ultimately we will win, but we're still in the fight. Because I dared to have a guest on my show, on my podcast, the Eric Metaxas Show, talking about vaccine passports, YouTube demonetized the whole thing, just wiped us out. I said, this is unbelievable. I was having a conversation in a free country about a subject that interests my audience, interests pretty much everybody, right? Like, you know, couldn't even talk about it. So I was deplatformed. It's happened to me many times. With this book, I have been astonished that if you go to Amazon now, you can get plenty copies right away. If you go to barnesandnoble.com, and this was true today, I don't know if they're ever going to change this. If you go to Barnes, now keep in mind, the book is a New York Times #2 bestseller, so one of the top selling books in America. You go to barnesandnoble.com and you say, oh, I'm just looking for a book, Revolution. You type in the search bar Revolution. My book doesn't even come up anywhere. There's like 40 other books relating to the subject of the revolution, every other kind of revolution, whatever. My book is about the revolution. The title is Revolution, does not come up on bn.com. I said, is this a joke? Like I kept looking around and trying to figure this out. That's called shadow banning. If you go into Barnes and Noble stores, most of them don't have the book, or they don't have it prominently displayed. They got one copy in the back. And I thought, this is a New York Times bestseller. It's at the top of the New York Times list. All those other books, they've got piles of them when you walk into the store. So something weird is going on. I mean, look, it's not weird. We know what it is. We know that there are people that don't like this version of things, and so they have to suppress it. But which is one of the reasons that I'm kind of shameless in asking people, please buy the book. Please give the book to your relatives and neighbors and friends. This is a book I wrote for everybody. It's not for history buffs. This is for Americans. If you're an American, you need to know this story. But making it a bestseller is the only way to break through into the mainstream. These are true stories, and this is a true story, and this is a true accounting. But it has to break into the mainstream. The secular left, they've taken over, obviously, PBS. They've taken over colleges, the New York Times. You can't get this version. And I just find that amazing that we're living in a time, I didn't write, like, this is not some MAGA conservative book. This is just a happy story of our history. But, if you do that in this day and age, there are people that don't like it. They want to suppress these ideas, because if these ideas get out, we're going to win the war for liberty in America. We're going to be able to be free, for another 250 years, or as long as God allows us. But we have to fight. So to me, writing the book is part of the fight. It's like, we've got to get the truth out. And again, this is not an angry book. It's a fun, happy story of what happened 250 years ago. There's just the heroes involved. Nathan Hale, amazing heroes. But, if they can keep suppressing that, as they've done a pretty good job of doing for 50 years, the lies will come in. And so we are in a war, an ideological war right now. And I wrote my book hoping, to educate a new generation so that we can understand what it means to be free, what America really is, how we got our freedoms, where they come from, and how we keep them.
Final question for you. How close did we come to becoming a censorship state like the United Kingdom? And how close are we to that still happening, depending on how future elections go?
Under the last administration, which a very, very dark time for a lot of Americans, we were on the edge of the abyss. And there are a lot of people, even friends of mine, that they didn't see that. I think that they were very naive. And they said, oh, the pendulum swings back and forth. That is garbage, okay? You tell that to the people in the boxcars going to Auschwitz. The pendulum swings back and forth. Sometimes horror happens. Sometimes
right. I call it corruption escape velocity.
Evil takes over, and it's over. And we were on the verge of that with the last administration. If Kamala Harris, God forbid, had become president, we have laws being made that are, I was on the president's commission on religious liberty, which we just submitted the report to the president a few weeks ago. The persecution of Christians across this country under the Biden administration, I can't even talk about it. It's so upsetting. It's so sick. The persecution of pro-lifers. Real persecution. I don't mean, like somebody disagreed with them. I mean, ugly, ugly stuff.
What we see in the UK currently, what we see right now happening. Yeah.
It is happening all over Europe. And why is it happening in Europe? Because they've lost touch with these ideas. Not that they ever really got it, but they sort of got it. There's a woman in Finland, I think, who spoke about a biblical view of sexuality. She was not even allowed to land in Heathrow Airport. That's how dark it is in England right now.
Yep.
That they are coming against a biblical worldview with this level of hostility and brutality. This is not just like they have a different point of view. They are being aggressive in persecuting people who have a biblical worldview. And I thought, you don't have to agree with my worldview, but you're going to persecute me for having that worldview. That's where we are. And so people need to understand we really are in a war, and it's an ideological war. It's a spiritual war. It's a cultural war. And the story of my book, we haven't talked about it, but really the story at the heart of the book, this is a culture war that took place between the American colonies, which were dramatically Christian, and the British elites, who were dramatically secular, cynical, corrupt, and dissolute. They were dramatically, publicly immoral. And I tell that story a little bit in the Amazing Grace book that you lifted up about Wilberforce. The Georgian era British elites were very decadent, and they sneered at the the Americans with their little Bible values. They were a bunch of religious hypocrites. So it's kind of like looking at the Hollywood elites, governing a town of homeschoolers in Oklahoma, like completely different values. One of them is earnest and believes in the Bible, and the other one is very cynical, very corrupt. That's kind of the battle for liberty that happened 250 years ago. It's the battle we're still in, which is why all of this is so relevant. And I'm so grateful to you for talking about this, because there is nothing more important right now. We're in an ideological war, and our kids will suffer if we don't stand up and understand this stuff now.
We need to save our stories. It saves our culture. It saves our kids. And Eric, I want to thank you before we go to the super chats, because nobody could have explained some of these things regarding slavery or the difference between the spiritualists and the materialists, England versus America, that was the founding stage for the revolution. I won't say American Revolution, because you've convinced me this is the revolution, and this is the book people should be reading.
Yeah, it's the revolution in world history, and really the people who were involved in it, they really believed this was God acting in history to show a new way forward for humanity. They all believed that. And again, even if you don't believe it, you need to know that's what they believed, and you need to honor them by trying to understand their point of view. That's why I wrote the book. It's that's the whole idea. But I'm just so grateful for all this time on your show with your great audience. This is important stuff, but it can also be fun. It should be fun, and we should be inspired, to live out these values. So thanks for having me.
There you go. Folks, questions for Mr. Metaxas on the other side of this interstitial. All right, producer Jonas J. Campbell is here. Jonas, will you read the super chats that are directed specifically to Mr. Metaxas, and we'll get those on the screen?
Absolutely. But first, I think I need to point out, first of all, hello, Mr. Metaxas. I'm Jonas Campbell.
Hello there.
But one of our previous guests has chimed in. Ron Coleman says, "Hey, Pro, say hi to Eric for me." So
I think you just did. I think Ron just did.
I've had Ron on my show. I've got a podcast, the Eric Metaxas Show, and I've had him on in the studio in New York City. He's a hero.
We love Ron,
and he's our hero on several occasions. So let's see here. Kalioth, $2 says, "Lying, is that some kind of personal attack?" And then says, for $5, "My family line runs through, is that Secretary? Seward and the Alaska Seward. I apologize. Back via the Mayflower, living in
Massachusetts.
Sorry. As a history lover, they have erased the people of the U.S."
Well, yes, Massachusetts, a lot of places can go bad. And I think of my alma mater, Yale. I mean, it started out as a profoundly Christian school to raise up ministers of the gospel. It has become a Marxist cesspool. When I was there in the 80s, it was already a Marxist cesspool. When William F. Buckley wrote about Yale in his 1951 book, God and Man at Yale, he's writing about the Yale of the 40s, which had already become a bastion of atheism and socialism. So a lot of these places, they start well, and over time, they go over to the dark side. Massachusetts, of course, unfortunately, that's the case. It's a very blue state at today, but there's hope everywhere. There are great churches in Massachusetts, and there's hope in every state in the union. We just got to keep fighting.
It's amazing what happens when you keep knowledge in the theoretical and never in the business of things, how quickly that goes to silly ideas like communism. Wendy F. for $5, just ordered Revolution from Amazon.
There we go. Way to go, Wendy.
Yep, that's perfect. Andrew Fay for $20. Do you recognize the recurring pattern in the tactics of the Weather Underground, their historical influence in the introduction at Columbia University, and the events currently unfolding in New York?
No doubt about it. I mean, let's be clear, whatever you call it, this is anti-liberty. So this is communistic, atheistic, Islamofascism. It's the same stuff. It is anti-liberty. So really, what is it? It's against the ideas of the Bible, because the ideas of liberty that we get in the American founding come out of the Bible, and there are all kinds of ideologies opposed to it. They don't believe in loving your enemies and treating your enemies well. They believe in using terror. They believe in bullying. They believe in doing whatever they can. They believe in power. They worship power, which is a satanic thing. And so whether it is the British elites trying to crush the American colonists in the fight for freedom, or whether it's the Weather Underground or whoever it is, that's the side they're on. And a lot of them, they think they're doing good, but that doesn't make you a good guy. Hitler thought he was doing good, but, turns out he might have been wrong about that.
I think so. Jonas, I see an avant-garde thinker out there. Joppy is ready to go. What do we got?
Let's see. This is we'll have to see how we slice these up here. Joppy for 500 Swedish crowns. For the record, monarchy as a system was authority given by religions. The U.S. was founded as a country with its governance separated from religion because they didn't want the tax increases set by the English king and had no representation to object.
Well, we have to be clear. In America, when Jefferson says the separation of church and state, it is to separate the church and state so that the government cannot persecute the church. So all of the founders wanted religion, but they didn't want established religion. They didn't want the government to say, this is the church you have to go to. They didn't want the government to get involved any more than they want the government to say, we're going to support Solyndra or some other company, and we're not going to support that company. The government's supposed to be agnostic, supposed to step away. So we don't want established religion, but we want religion. So we want religious liberty. And that to me is the genius of the American model that they thought, and Tocqueville sees this in 26, 30, when he writes his book. He knows that the churches are the strength of America, but it's because the freedom that nobody's going to force you to go to the church. The government's not forcing you to attend church. And yet that's what makes the churches flourish, is that they're free. So that's the paradox at the heart of liberty. Very important concept.
Well, at the risk of sending us a little bit longer, too, Mr. Metaxas, isn't there a warning in the what Christians would call the Old Testament? Isn't there a warning about having kings, and the Hebrew people still want the king, and that sort of thing?
Oh yeah. No, it's. I mean, and I write about this in the book actually, that the whole idea was, and Thomas Paine talks about this in Common Sense. He sees that the Israelites had no king but God. But at some point they said, well, we want a king like the other nations around us. And the prophet Samuel, he scolds them. And he says, you want a king? Well, you'll get a king. But you had a king. It was God. You've rejected God for an earthly king. The men of the revolution understood this idea. They said, we're going to reject the earthly king and we're going to turn to God, our king. But again, that is free. Nobody is forced to believe in the God of the Bible. It is completely free. That's the beauty of it. We don't force you. We don't convert by the sword. We don't force you. So this idea of liberty comes out of the Bible. It's a beautiful idea, and it's at the heart of our government. It's meant to be at the heart of our government. We've drifted from that. So that's another reason I keep saying I wrote the book. We've got to understand this. Otherwise, we can't push back against, abuses of it.
Jonas, before we read the next two from Joppy, and then that'll be the end, because I know Mr. Metaxas has to go. Andy Masterson, we love having Andy on the show, and so I want him to get to say this directly to you. Member for 18 months, he says, thank you, Mr. Metaxas. Been a fan since PragerU.
I've got 7 videos that I made for PragerU. I love the folks at PragerU, and anything they do, it's like, I love Dennis Prager, one of the greatest heroes. I visited him a few months ago in Florida. I love that man and the great work that he has done. Pray for Dennis Prager, because he's just one of the greatest figures in America today.
Well, I'll tell you this, Eric, before we read the Joppy, from me, if you get the chance to say to Dr. Jordan Peterson or Dennis Prager, we have millions of views here on this channel. I don't ever talk about it. We don't brag about it. I would not be doing what I'm doing without you three. You guys have been instrumental, and you tell them that there's some guy out there, some crazy guy covering Disney and this other entertainment stuff, and it's all because of you guys.
Be my honor to do that. Thank you.
Yep. Let's see here. Joppy for 200 Swedish crowns. Another fun little fact is that government positions were never intended to be glorious in the U.S. It was first intended to be just be something like a part-time job in their spare time while doing their normal daily work as well. And
well, There's no doubt about that. We're not supposed to have a professional government class because that leads to bureaucracy, and that's what happened in the progressive movement. We created this bureaucracy who are not answerable to the voters. So this is fundamentally anti-liberty, anti-American, and we've got to get back. And again, I keep saying it's why I wrote the book. We've got to understand what it's supposed to look like and how the founders saw it. Why did George Washington leave after 2 terms as president? He could have been president till the day he died. He chose to leave to set the model that we go, we serve, and then we go home. We're not there to line our pockets like Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or these career politicians or Mitch McConnell. We're not there for that. We're there to serve and then to go home. That's the Republican model, small r, that the founders understood.
All right, last one, Jonas.
Yep. Joppy for 100 Swedish crowns. Another fun little fact is that the revolution only succeeded because it was a proxy war between the British and the French. The French supplied the arms to the revolutionists. Wasn't Napoleon distracting them over there quite a bit at the same time?
I sort of disagree with that. I mean, there's truth in it, but in my book, there's a subchapter called The Backstabbing French. The French, yes, it's true, we could not have won without them, but they weren't doing us any favors. They were just I mean, essentially what that person said is true, but I don't think we want to overstate it like this was something altruistic on their part. Actually, that person didn't really say that, so forgive me, but I'm saying that it is interesting, and it is true that without the French getting involved, we could not have won. So, yeah, that is true.
Yep. All right. WJB Daily is hoping you'll write a book on the Civil War, the Second U.S. Revolution, and we'll let that stand where it is. All right, Mr. Metaxas, I know you got to go. We want to thank you for the time that you were able to give. Again, there's nobody else who could have answered those questions the way you did, and for that, we are very appreciative. Thank you for fighting the fight you do every single day.
It is my joy. And again, another shameless plug. Please buy my book, folks. It really matters. It really matters that this book does well. Thanks to all of you. And thanks for having me on this great program.
Folks, buy 2 of them, buy 3, give them to the people who need to read them. And you never know, they might just pick it up and enjoy. All right, folks, we want to say a big thank you. If you would put the applause emojis out there in the chat. Mr. Metaxas, take care. It's been a great opportunity and a privilege, sir, to spend time with you.
My honor. Thank you.
All right, Jonas J. Campbell, we've got more super chats, and let's get them up on the screen, please.
That was fun. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
The first Dragon Queen for $2. Wilton's brother is on the way. Hugs for all. Why would what? See, hugs are good things, and Wilton's brother, chaotic neutral.
Yeah, at best.
Yeah. Thank you very much, First Dragon Queen. Packing Protons for $20. When you do research on the Odyssey and find out no one really knows what the original play was, since it wasn't written down until 600 years after it started, so even the original translation isn't original. I'm going with the definitive version from Nintendo that included Mario, Donkey Kong, and, well, Donkey Kong implied to be in the story, and of course, Pauline.
1,000 troops of Koopas couldn't keep me from you.
Thank you for the correct order of those words as well. I always get it wrong. Packing Protons, this is a funny thing. Ancient texts, when they're passed down, yes, I don't think we have 100% the same version of Homer's Odyssey, but generally speaking, it's agreed that we have it in most of its facets. There are other ancient texts that have many more copies passed down that everyone agrees are unmodified, though, and I won't get into that. Juliet for €2. Sorry, those are pounds. It's not my fault that they shape their pounds like an E. Evening, WDW Pro Panel and Pro Rights.
Good to see you, Juliet, and thank you, mod extraordinaire. And by the way, so many people are doing heavy lifting right now. We have basically everybody is in transit somewhere. So we've got people going to see the Odyssey. We've got people traveling the country. Poor Lorne, his flight was canceled to South Carolina. So he is in limbo going from airport to airport, crisscrossing the country, trying to get to South Carolina in time for tomorrow's pro show live with the audience. I've got to go see the Odyssey. We've got mods who are going to Southeast Game Exchange. So Juliet, we are so appreciative that you're there and you're helping us. And for everybody who's out there right now, because it is, what a thing to have Eric Metaxas scheduled to have Southeast Game Exchange to have the Odyssey and all of this stuff just colliding together. But we're doing just fine, eh?
And not to forget that Dean Cain was on the channel on Monday.
That's right.
So it's been quite the week here, and I can't believe I'm doing this show from a dirigible. So, Mark Fields for $2. Have a beautiful day. Positive vibes to you all. Thank you very much, Mark Fields.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Yep. Kaylee off for $5. As my buddy Packing Protons would say, release the shills. They have more frills than Matt Damon, who can't get a break in a film about Matt Damon.
I don't know that we could have done this with Mr. Metaxas on the show, but because he's gone now, you know what? I think it is time for shills.
At least that's what I hear.
Wait, what? Let's go!
Jabba, right?
Oh no! It's a Sarlacc!
Star Wars Outlaws pre-order available now.
Guys, this is one of, if not my most anticipated game of the year. Anything that's got me going pew, 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 you know, sign me up.
I gotta say, the concept of this is enough for me to go, I might even pre-order this.
By the way, Jonas, do you know what the job of a shill really is?
To be excited about all things at all times.
As they come, we were talking about the ideological capture of America, the American story. Mm-hmm. As they come for your stories, as they come for your myths, as they come for your legends, as they come for your heroes, the shill's job is clap along, hoping that when the supposed utopia arrives, they'll receive the crumbs from the master's table. That's the shill's job.
You know, I don't mean to praise the Hunger Games too much, but they really, Suzanne Collins, I think, wrote those, and she really hit the nail on the head with the people in the Capital District, District 1. So, Chris Dickerson, member for 15 months. Hey, pro-rights and proletarians, just say no to Nolan.
Well, I won't be able to say no to him because I have to go review the thing. And but I can tell you the narrative is falling apart. We're about to cover this. They're not going to like what we're about to say about the Odyssey. They are not going to like this because everybody in Hollywood is saying $1 billion, $1.5 billion, 98% greatest movie ever.
Really?
Hang on.
Really?
Really?
I'm not there with that. Flying blind on a rocket cycle for $2. Hail panel and chat.
Hail to you, flying blind on a rocket cycle.
And on behalf of Eric Metaxas, hail, down with him, who will not say drink ale. Walter Tomaszewski, member for 9. How are Regal, AMC, and Cinemark doing? For their sakes, I would hope that the Odyssey does reasonably well.
Well, I don't know that it has to. I'll be honest. I think Spider-Man's going to rescue them.
Yeah. There's I'm hearing some stickier things about that film.
Oh no. Are you for real?
Yeah. Some alien goo might be involved.
Oh no, we don't need that in this one. Surely not.
If they've kept it secret this long and they actually have a surprise in the theaters, I would think that that's amazing if they're able to do such a thing. So,
okay.
But if they end up with I can't say what I know. All right. Burnout for $5. Saw Nolan's Odyssey. Not my cup of tea. That's an interesting choice of words. Didn't like muted colors, changes of or dialogue, like Pattinson as villain. Preferred 97 or Simpsons version. I think that's what they ought to do. They ought to do Odyssey 97 on Disney Plus.
Simpsons did it.
They did. Kalioff for $2. If Nolan is God, why is it not in major window?
Kalioff, you are quite the purveyor of excellent ideas usually, but this time I'm confusified. I haven't quite got grasp of this one yet. Jonas, any guesses on what this is?
Windowing.
A big idea. Why is it not in a major? It's a big window, I think.
It is. I think this is probably one of the biggest movies of the year. Kalioff, you're going to have to help us out here. I'm not as smart as you on this one.
We're just not as astute on this one.
Yep. But you know who is astute? Bold Hoplite for $2. As a hoplite, I do not approve of the Odyssey.
The oddity of the Odyssey.
You know what? I've been looking back at the old Xbox, and speaking of Odysseys, Oddworld, I was looking into that, and that's one I do approve of right now.
Boy, what a strange game that was. I mean, you had to have an aesthetic vision for that when they came out with it and said, we're going to stick with this. It's ugly. Don't know how we're going to sell it, but by golly, we've got an idea.
Right. Abe's Odyssey, Stranger's Wrath. They had all kinds of ideas. And before these were owned by corporate overlords, there was a lot more to be said for the industry at large. This is a conversation that is going to be a slow rolling one. I regret to tell you, bro.
Well, Jonas, speaking of rolling, we got to get rolling because I have to be in the theater at a certain time, and this pro show must go into the news. Are you ready, sir?
Let's do it.
How long's it been since we did a duo show, Jonas? Have we ever done just me and you together, live?
Do
it live!
Read it for $5. I thought $5 was worth the spend for the joke. Only wish I could see Jonas's face when he sees it. Have a good day, guys. Well, you see it 2 times over.
Oh, no. Jonas, the real, not the facade, the real Jonas, the heart of Jonas.
If I ever run into the real Jonas, I'll let you know.
Oh boy. All right, folks.
I weep at night wondering if I'll ever get to see him.
We got to hit it. We'll win it for you. What story? Odyssey. Turns out very few of you are going to see it the way Christopher Nolan wants you to. Christopher Nolan has made a very big deal about filming this movie, The Odyssey, with the kinds of cameras that, almost nobody is going to see. How few? Take a look at this. USA Today is reporting on it. Brendan Morrow. Imagine all the money that they spent to shoot this thing in IMAX 70mm, and yet only 25 total theaters. 25! How many theaters are there in America? There's a bunch of them. 25 will be showing The Odyssey in the way that they have been telling everybody in every article and every place online. We did it. We shot it in IMAX 70mm for you. And it turns out very, very few of you are going to get a chance to see it this way. It says, seeing Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey in the director's preferred format may require a quest about as arduous as Odyssey's journey home. The Oscar-winning filmmaker's movies are best viewed in 70mm IMAX, which allows moviegoers to soak in the epic film's stunning visuals on a massive screen. But getting into one of those screenings is easier said than done. A limited number of movie theaters in the United States are technically capable of showing movies in said format. And even if you can make it out to one of those locations, tickets, says the article, are hard to come by. Jonas, I need you to put a pin in that. Go ahead, stick the pin in it. You good?
Tickets are hard to come by, yes.
Hey, we'll come back to that in just a minute, because not so much. It says with the movie in theaters July 17th, here's what you need to know about seeing The Odyssey. And it goes on to talk about, what is it? Well, it's the bestest way ever to see it. By golly, it's not only IMAX, it's big IMAX. It says a standard film strip is 35mm, so 70mm film is physically bigger, making for a higher resolution picture. Next, they'll tell us 70 is a bigger number than 35. Thank you. Showing the movie in IMAX allows for an expanded image. So by seeing The Odyssey in this version, you're seeing more of the frame than you would in a normal theater, and the image itself also looks better. In other words, it's higher resolution IMAX viewing. Jonas, what did I tell you to put a pin in? Do you remember?
That it was going to be difficult to get tickets to see The Odyssey.
That's right. In fact, Jonas, if you read more into the article, which we will not because we got to move on, they even talk about how this thing for this format has been available for sale. You could get tickets to this a year in advance. They have been trying to sell this for a year in advance. Now, the other night on the show, LW Ghost revealed that he is residing in the state of Tennessee, in Chattanooga. And so I was thinking about, was he going to go see this film, and was he going to go see it in this special IMAX? Because if we scroll down in this article, we can find out all the places that have it. You know, there's one place in Arizona, there's a bunch of places in California, 2 in Colorado, 1 in Florida, 1 in Georgia. But if we scroll down, LW Ghost, because, you know, he's a cinephile. I want him to get to see it in the best way possible if he's going to go see it. So LW Ghost, he will be seeing it, I am sure, at the IMAX located next to the Tennessee Aquarium in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Okay? So I thought, well, I'm going to check for Lou to see if there's availability, because the article on USA Today says that this very rare, very hard to come by, in short supply format for The Odyssey has been for sale for a year. Surely the reservations will be crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the IMAX located at AMC Chattanooga 18 with the aquarium. This is the ultimate IMAX experience. This one's in 2D. It's the 70 millimeter thing. And again, it's been for sale for a year. It is maybe 50% sold.
Wow.
45% sold. This is the first showing. This is showing number one. You've been able to wait for a year. You could have got your reservation last August to go see this thing. Jonas, if you haven't seen it, it's a walk-in. It's a walk-up.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I do wonder if Lou is going to be our cinematic Cincinnatus and be called into duty to watch this one for us.
I like your alliteration, sir. That's not bad. That's not bad. You keep that up. We'll change chairs. We'll scroll down, folks, if you want to see the list of the very few locations you can get this in. But Jonas, when I see that kind of ticket sales, and this has been, you could reserve it for $365 before now. That's when I start to say, wait a minute, maybe these projections are off, because opening, the very first debut on this very special format, only 2 locations in the entire state of Tennessee, where I guess Paramount is considering moving. Jonas, I look at it and I say, wait a minute, maybe this box office projection is incorrect at this time. What are your thoughts on it?
This is going to be really difficult. And I was talking with Valiant earlier about the situation with this, because the IMAX thing overrepresents a certain part of the market that's probably not going to go see this again on the scale that it is right now. So it's fewer people watching the movie, but they're paying more for it, which is good if you can charge that much for people to pay for your movie, but it also doesn't give you a lot of good information on whether this actually has good word of mouth. These are the people that are primed for, I want the biggest movie on the biggest screen. These are the kind of people that if you're buying a system, they're buying the Pro version or the Series X version. They're so bought in. They're going to be positive. What this movie really needs to succeed, though, is the normies, the people that are showing up for like a Gladiator, and I'm not sure that those people will want to watch this movie.
Well, look at the cleverness of the headlines, and again, I don't know how it's going to do. I can only look at the availability of the theaters that we know that are the highest in demand theaters, and they're not full. You can walk up today at many of these locations. I'm not telling you all of them. Like if you go to the one that's in New York, I forget the one that's near Times Square. I bet it's full. Okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of these theaters are going to be, you can walk in, and that makes me say, whoa. But look at the cleverness of the headline, Jonas. The Odyssey aims for $100 million opening. Well, I just want to let you know, Jonas, that I as well, I too am aiming for a $100 million opening next week. $100 million opening for Pro. I'm aiming for that next week. I just want you to know.
Next week?
Next week. I am aiming to open that way.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll get there.
I see. Because the aim is 100 million, not that it's getting 100 million. So this appears to be then propaganda. Is that the charge that we're leveling here? I
don't want to say that it's propaganda. I want to say that it's cleverly worded. How's that for you? Cleverly worded.
And we're seeing indications that this isn't the only market in which they do have availability, but they have for a year been saying, 70 millimeter IMAX, here you go. Here's the thing. In 2 years, no one will be watching this in IMAX because they don't re-release movies in IMAX in the same way that they do here. I'll say Nolan's specific journey with IMAX is very personal. So there's a lot of that narrative weight that goes with it, as in the narrative about the movie as opposed to the narrative of the movie. But I don't know. Usually movies, when people see these kind of culture war signals, people go, no.
It's going to be an interesting thing to see, because the expectations from Hollywood are very, very high. And right now, I see warning signs. I'm not saying it won't do well, but I see warning signs. Here's why they should be worried, maybe. Paul Tassi writing this in Forbes. Here's the Odyssey's budget and break-even point at the box office.
Oh, this is perfect, because I have something to add to this story when we're done with it.
Well, I'm so glad to hear. I'm going to tell you all this. I think Valiant Renegade has actually forced the hand of the media.
There we go. Yes, that was it.
Oh, did I steal it from you?
No, go ahead.
Well, no, you take it that away then. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Valiant has forced them to do something that until he started doing it 3 or 4 years ago, They had no intentions of ever disclosing, and now they must.
Yeah. So Valiant has maybe directly caused Paul Tassi to revise this specific article. I don't know when you have hit refresh on this, but when Paul Tassi posted this, Valiant Renegade got Beetlejuiced into this. He got tagged on X and brought in to explain the way of the movie theater finances more perfectly to Mr. Paul Tassi.
I love this.
So whatever happened with all that, Tassi ends up deleting the original tweet, and I do believe he also updated the article to include information about how I guess the theaters also get a cut of this.
Yeah.
So maybe the break-even point is a little higher
than
Paul Tassi was originally thinking.
So a couple things Valiant has forced in his efforts on his YouTube channel. And folks should go subscribe to Valiant Renegade. He's forced them now to start giving the marketing costs. They never did. They never, ever, ever, ever did. And they've started doing that. In fact, this summer, they've started doing it.
Yep.
The other thing is they never, ever, ever talked about how much goes to taxes in theaters. Now they have to. Because Valiant, he's just kept on and kept on and kept on. And everybody knows it now. And every time they post about it, people correct him. And it came from Valiant. Nobody was doing it except Valiant Renegade.
Right.
So here's what we've got, Jonas. 375, and I'm going to explain how they get to these numbers because these are not dishonest numbers. They look like it at first, so I'll explain. It says 250 reported budget, 125 reported marketing, 375 total before the theater cut. Thank you, Valiant Renegade, which puts the break even from 625 to 750. Now, people might say, well, 750 is obviously the answer. Not necessarily. There are tax credits that can happen. So you get tax credits for filming these things in certain places. So you get breaks. Also, if they are considering the streaming rights and they already have a pre-purchase amount for wherever this is going, they can include that. Even though at the box office is not break even, they're looking at the overall break even for the expenditures. So if they say, well, we've already got to deal with Netflix and they're going to pay us $70 million for this thing, then they can do that. So that's why Paul Tassi is setting it, I believe, 625 to 750, which is a huge, chasm between those numbers. But for the simplicity's sake, let's just say 750, not because it's bigger, but because I don't know what tax breaks they got. I don't know what deals they've got on streaming. So 750 is the mathematical answer. We won't make assumptions. We'll just go with that. Jonas, they got to make a lot of money to get to 750. That's a lot of cash. A lot of tickets sold.
That is, and the IMAX will help with that, but at the same time, they're going to need good word of mouth on this movie. They're getting their critical praise from everyone in the world except for Chris Gore and Alan Ng, apparently. I haven't seen Christian Toto's review yet, but the critics love this movie. A lot of people that I'm seeing that just like to watch movies for fun don't seem to like this movie very much. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this all shakes out. We didn't talk about box office like this 20 years ago.
Nope.
It's because Wall Street and institutional investors have become too invested in the individual success of each movie on a financial level. And it's also because the narrative of the culture war, the big sites like Forbes and the Washington Post and Variety want to pretend like there's not a culture war. That's their whole tactic here, is to pretend like there is not a culture war going on, to say, no, this is all settled here.
And their side is the orthodoxy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Their tack is to pretend that the dissent is nothing. Do not pay attention to the men and women getting so many views on the internet who say there's something wrong here.
I think it's fair to say, Jonas, the Odyssey is actually going to be a big moment for the culture war. Is that fair?
Yes. I do think this is. We were having a discussion with a few, I'd say a few important people on
movers and shakers.
Yeah, on the importance of the Odyssey and the video game apocalypse all happening in the same year. This is a big year.
I think the Hollywood apocalypse could be within the next 2 years. That's my guess.
And they're all laughing at David Ellison right now, and the people in Tennessee who are saying, "Oh, come, bring your studio over here." But I think that's not as ridiculous as the Hollywood trades would like for it to be.
Whether it's Texas or Tennessee or Nevada or New Jersey, who cares? The bottom line is, if they leave California, California has nothing to offer anymore. Proximity doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter if you have studios. Everything's going to be done with live actors and AI, and Some internet resources, where you can contact a CGI farm and say, we need you to do this. The days of needing a soundstage, anywhere near the Sunset Strip, that's over. That's done. And so if you chase these studios out, do so to your own collapse, I would say. So have at it. Yuck it up, boys. Laugh about it. But if they leave, it's going to be a grievous change for California.
Yep, I would agree. Amazon MGM, they have no reason to stay in California other than to associate with Hollywood. Paramount and Warner Brothers, they will have a very bad taste in their mouth if they're forced to stay in California. And too many large industries have seen benefits from getting away from the regulation out there in California. So I don't know. It's not as crazy as it would have been, again, 10 to 20 years ago.
Well said. The FCC, aka the U.S. government, is waging war against Disney, and now we are here. We've warned the House of Mouse. We've said this is coming for you. It's been dismissed. It's been poo-pooed by the boo birds of Hollyweird, but folks, it's happening. Ariel Zilber says The View faces trouble as FCC is now preparing to crack down on the ABC show and revoke the Disney licenses. Now, I've talked about this and what it does to the Disney stock, and I've done this much to the chagrin of some of the people who work with me on this channel, because when we cover this, Jonas, we don't get much traction. It's not as big as the Odyssey. It's not as big as the collapse of Moana, but we're going to cover it because when it happens, it will be. And so it's in favor of our credibility and in favor of keeping people ahead of the culture curve that we talk about it. Disney has been defending The View as literal news, even though it's not, and trying to abuse the rules of network TV and risking their stock price and risking their standing with ABC and holding these network licenses. Disney has decided this is the rock they'll die on.
Right. In more ways than one, they are fake news.
Yes. And so Disney, if you're a shareholder, and I'm not giving you financial advice, but how furious would I be if this company was deciding, in order to defend Sunny Hostin, we'll take whatever loss. We'll lose billions of dollars on the principle of defending Sunny Hostin and the ladies of The View who get 1/3 the views of The Price is Right. Yay, that's what I want to do if I'm an investor in Disney. Yeah, don't spend your money on Disney World. Spend your money on legally defending Sunny Hostin at great risk. It says the Federal Communications Commission, aka the FCC, is preparing to rule that ABC's The View, and this is breaking news, is not a bona fide news program. Obviously, there is not one person on the planet with sanity in their brain who thinks that The View is actual news. It's a decision that would upend more than 2 decades of precedent and subject the Disney-owned daytime talk show to federal equal time rules for political candidates, according to report. AKA, they can't just have on VP J.D. Vance once a year and call that even. Bloomberg reported Wednesday that the FCC is also expected to escalate a separate investigation into Disney's broadcast television licenses, moving the matter towards an administrative hearing that could ultimately threaten ABC-owned stations in New York, Los Angeles, and other major markets. The anticipated rulings, which people familiar with the matter told Bloomberg could come before Labor Day, would represent the most aggressive regulatory action taken against a major U.S. broadcaster in decades and mark a significant victory for FCC Chairman Brendan Carr's efforts to overhaul how the agency policies or polices political programming. All right, Jonas, here's the deal. Disney wants to declare this a news program because they want to get out of having to have equal access for candidates. They want to pick the candidates because Disney wants to pick who gets the boost, the signal boost. Dana Walden runs all this. She's besties with Kamala Harris, and it is going to cost Disney billions of dollars to go down this path. All they have to do, Jonas, they don't have, none of this has to happen. All Disney must do, they don't have to even get rid of The View. They could, one, try to get some parity on there in terms of liberals and conservatives. There's not a real conservative on there. I'm sorry. I'm not going to count the one lady on the far right. Joke intended. But I'm not going to count her. She's not. She's an anti-Trumper, whatever. They just need parity. And then 25%, 30% conservatives to 75% of liberals on the show. That would be enough. But we looked at this, Jonas, and it's something like 1 to 200 conservative to liberal guests on the show. And that got the attention of the FCC because the FCC said, wait a minute, you're calling this actual news. It's being paid for by ABC News. and you're on a network. And because you're on public airwaves with the network, and because you're declaring this actual news, you're under the rules of a news program, which says under the FCC that if you are a news program using the public broadcasting waves, that you must be objective. Whoopi, Sonny, and Joy have never in their lives been accused of being objective, Jonas.
Never. Is the requirement that they be objective, or is it the requirement that they be honest about not being a news program?
They can be as wrong as they want to be. They just got to have some equality on the wrong.
Right. No one would consider Johnny Carson to be a newscaster, but considering modern contexts, I guess they're trying to rewrite it to say that the shows that he left behind are news shows. This is just ridiculous, and they're trying to fight within a loophole in order to stay wherever they are and continue to push the narrative that they want to push. If they want to be classified as entertainment, then be classified as entertainment. But unfortunately, I think we all know that the show itself may not be classified as entertaining.
Well, here's the thing. Let's say I'm a Disney investor, okay? I just want to make money. And that's what this company's supposed to do. And how does the company make money? It produces family content, whether it's theme parks or movies or whatever. That's what Disney's supposed to be. Make the family content. That's what it's always been. At its heart, that is Disney. Now, this company is supposed to be doing that, and it does that with the hopes that that will make money. And instead, this company has decided it's going to be embroiled at every single turn with politics. Well, how's that going for them? Well, take a look, folks. All the way up until 2016, what was the Disney stock doing? We can go back to 1986, and it was up, bounce around a little bit. Up, really up. Oh, no, 2016. What happened in 2016?
Was 2016? Let's see.
Was that an election year?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They somebody came into office and really made it interesting for them.
And what did Disney do? They became political, and Bob Iger wanted to do a political run. And what have they done ever since? Since 2016, this company has been sitting at essentially the same place, except, surprisingly, 2019 and 2020, which were, Jonas, who was in charge of Disney in 2019 and 2020?
I believe that was Bob Iger.
No, not in 2020 and 2021. In 2019, the transition began. Who was in charge?
And I thought we were talking about the start of 2020. No, Bob Iger was still in charge then. It wasn't until late into 2020 that Bob Iger finally left the executive chairman role. Are we talking about literally in charge, or are we talking about who had who was responsible?
So the transition began in late 2019. We knew that Bob Chapek was going to take over the company.
Yeah.
Then the pandemic happens. The stock crashes. Bob Iger dives out of there. Remember, he was like, "I see ya," and then Chapek takes control. Different CEO who says we're going to moderate the company. We're not going to be involved in politics, and that's literally what he put out there. What happens? Stock skyrockets. Goes all the way up almost to $200 per share. They can't handle that. The people who are running Disney say, no, we're not going to be moderated. We're going to get out there and we're going to march. Lucasfilm people are out there jumping up and down with their protest signs. And what happens? They get Bob Chapek out, they get back into politics, and we've been back down at the same place ever since.
Yeah.
So since 2016, since the Orange Man came along, Disney has refused, except for one brief snippet where they had somebody else in charge. They kicked him out. Disney has been involved in politics. And if I'm an investor, Jonas, if I'm an investor and I see this happening again, I am livid. I'm livid at the idea. Why are we doing this? Why are we fighting with the U.S. government? What? Make Disney World rides. Make Bluey movies. Like, quit this. It's a third of the ratings of Price is Right. Go buy the Price is Right and put it on ABC. Put Plinko on there and never fight with the FCC again.
Yeah. In all of this, they are essentially ABC owning the Disney company. So they think this is what they do. They think television is the thing they do. And much more, news television is the thing that they do, as opposed to the thing that actually makes them money, which is the theme park business.
Well, I'm going to give you something, Jonas, that I know you'll hit a grand slam with every single time. Part of the problem of Disney is, and part of the reason they cannot get the stock unstuck, is because Bob Iger transformed Disney from a family content creation machine to ABC. It is now led essentially by the ABC division, which is a horrible idea. And Dana Walden now, besties with Kamala, is running all of this.
Agreed. I think the less that we see from Dana Walden, the better it is for the company, and the more that Josh D'Amaro can do to differentiate this company as a family entertainment company instead of a global media brand, then the more people will want to hand them money. That's the problem at the end of the day with Disney is they end up in these strange moral causes that have nothing to do with theme park rides and whether or not you're going to have a fun time on the teacups. All of this is a distraction from the real product, and distractions are not good for business.
Money is good for business. This is not good for business. Jonas J. Campbell, it's time for the Super Chats, and I see a guy out there who is actually in transit, who is listening in and sending in a Super Chat. What do we got?
He says, I blame Jonas. Wolf of McGruffle for $5. Jonas, do you get this reference? I'm sorry I ruined your lives and crammed 11 cookies into the VCR.
Oh, boy, it's that guy again.
This is the first Super Chat that's ever been submitted via Etch-a-Sketch. So.
Oh, buddy.
I love that. Detail Devil for $2. I love a great awakening. Pastor and atheist Franklin unite or untie. Kalioff for $2. Refer to the release date, Memorial, December 25th or July 4th, etc. Yeah. Culture Casino for $2. Let's do the news. Yes, and let's do it live.
Do it live. Oh, you want me to play the clip? I don't know if I can play it that fast.
Do it live.
Fine.
Drive safe. Christian Corriejo for $5. Do you think Nolan's Odyssey would have been better received by audiences if it was intended to be a Mel Brooks or Monty Python style comedic parody? Screw you. I work for Mel Brooks. Sin on, only pawn in game of life.
I would rather watch Larry the Cable Guy play the role of this character than the artist formerly known as Paige.
I tell you what, nobody's in my cave. Tell you what.
Hooey! I'm supposed to be the bestest warrior around.
Dadgum, you hear what them sirens sound like?
Dadgum, them ships is big out at sea.
That's pretty good. That's very good. First Dragon Queen for $2. IMAX is not sold out near me, by the way.
There you go, folks. Another. Check for the IMAX, the 70mm, folks. There's 25 of them. That's it across the whole country. They're not sold out as far as I can tell. A few of them might be, but 50% attendance right now is not a good sign.
Mm-hmm. Detail level for $2. The aquarium does 70mm IMAX. AMC's is 1.9 to 1 laser.
So Detail Devil, unless I'm mistaken, the theater that we're showing, because it took a little bit of effort to figure that out, Fandango does not show that particular, you're talking about the aquarium IMAX or whatever. We got hung up for a minute when we were trying to figure this out. Apparently, Fandango does not show it separately because it's not always used for movies. It's used for like touristy kind of stuff. So they had attached it to the AMC, whatever, 18, I forget now. But I think we had the right one. I think so, because it showed IMAX and it showed the extra premium, whatever, for 70mm. But I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Detail Devil living up to his name. Thinking Heretic for $5. The reason so few people aren't seeing Nolan's film is just odd, you see. That's good. Detail Devil for $5. MAGA YouTubers say Black Helen okay because under 1 minute. Idiot. 737 time travels to 16th century in Manifest. Mistook as dragon, but portrays Smaug as a 737 equals nonsense. Lupita equals a 737. Well,
I don't know.
She is a little too plain to be playing Helen of Troy.
I don't know. Oh, gosh, that's so bad. The worst we've ever done. I can't wait for a news outlet to cover that because they didn't get the joke, even though it's all right. So off that aviation joke, the thing I'll add to this is I don't know what YouTubers. I don't know which YouTubers are saying what about this movie. All I can tell you is what has been said to me is going to be the downfall of the film, and I'm going to review it like in 20 minutes. The downfall is that Christopher Nolan wants to take all of the religious, spiritual, mythical stuff out. So like the gods are described, or they kind of hear them in storms, but they're not actually seen. And so it's like this very, what do you say? It's like a secular version of Greece, but then there are key components of the Odyssey that you can't get around. So like the Cyclops is real. So the person told me it's a really strange, messy movie because most of the stuff was like stripped out of it, all of the religious stuff. But then you get to, oh yeah, well, we can't make the movie without this. So here's a weird looking Cyclops or two.
Yeah, that's weird. That would be like doing an Exodus film without God, or a Noah film without God, or making it into like some kind of weird environmental fable or something.
No water?
Yeah. Con lives. Any news about the upcoming Narnia project at Netflix, or is it dead in the water? No, it's still going. They're
making
an IMAX release. Probably going to get a basic theatrical release. Not much of one though.
And it's still dead in the water, even though they're making it.
Culturally dead in the water. Yes.
Yes.
Timu Dr. Demento for 5. Hello, Pro and Jonas. I can't wait for the chickens to come home roost for ABC and The View. Just don't tell Lauren, or he'll be there in a flash. These ladies had their soapbox for far too long. Yeah, it's amazing that Whoopi Goldberg has eclipsed herself as that lady with all the talent from all the movies, and she's become the lady from The View that complains about cupcakes.
The shadow grows. We must act. The enemy has found the roost. Our arrows are ready, but we need a plan. Then we fly to Mordor. Flock for the plan. By the line of roost. Take that, you brave. What have they done?
Stop it. Get some help.
Jonas, could we contact Josh Dawes and let him know we have something on par with the Adventures of Mary Sue? I think Lauren. I think Lord of the Rings would.
I think that'd
do
be
really
an
well.
excellent addition to the cast.
If we did a major release of Lord of the Rings next year in theaters, like I think we make more money than Snow White. I think we make more money than Moana.
I'm thinking we have an entire That Park Place cinematic universe.
I love it. I love it. Let's do it.
World building is what I do. Yeah. Kalioth for $2. The View. Is that some kind of leftist Karen show?
That would be a better name for it.
Yeah.
The Karens.
That's a full table of them right there. A group of Karens, by the way, is called a homeowners association. Joppy for 50 Swedish crowns. When's the next member thingy?
Joppy, we had to move it to next week. This week was just too packed. We had major guests. We've got Southeast Game Exchange. So I do apologize. We'd intended to do it last night, but there was no possible way that was going to happen, especially with some of the stuff that's gone down with, us trying to figure out how do we get Lauren to South Carolina, as he is, it's like an Indiana Jones movie, you watch the plane traveling all over the place. And then we're like, Lauren, why are you in the Bermuda Triangle? What are you doing?
And then we have to jump out of the plane while it's in transit. It's very complicated. We did leave him an inflatable raft, though.
That would be great if we played that before the pro show tomorrow night at live, and Lauren in the little raft, and we can drag him in on it. That'd be great. If only we had time to do those sorts of things.
Little Dan Aykroyd cameo
little
there.
Dingy.
Yep. Liberty Hall's Cat, member for 27 months. That's amazing, Liberty Hall's Cat. Hey, Pro and Chat, been busy the past few months. Hope to be more active later this summer. There's not much summer left, bud. In the meantime, I still catch the replays. Best to all. Glad to hear it, Liberty's Cat. Liberty Hall.
And this one, we've been waiting a long time to play. Good to see you out there. Here you go.
It's just beautiful, the Americana.
Actually, I used to play it like that, the drums, but it looks weird without drums. It kind of looks like you're...
Traditional grip versus match grip. In that thing you do that always drove me nuts is that he does double traditional grip, which makes no sense.
Oh, you mean because he's playing the hi-hat with like that?
Yeah, because traditional grip is supposed to accommodate the fact that the drum is tilted to the side. So if you do double traditional grip. That just don't make no sense.
I go like this, and I've tried, to roll it with the snare that way, and it just feels awkward.
Yeah, the lefties may be able to do it, but it just makes too much sense.
Yeah, a long time ago, my percussion teacher, the drum guy who taught me, he played the left hand traditional, but I never liked it that way.
Yeah. What was the first song you learned to play on the drums?
The first song I learned to play was Old Time Rock and Roll, Bob Seger. I like that old timey rock and roll. And it's so easy because the bass is on 1 and 3. So all you do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So super easy.
What's funny is it's the same with Billie Jean, which is the first song I ever learned to play on the drums.
Wait a minute. No. That shouldn't be 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe
the beat itself is very simple. It's
okay.
It's anyway.
So I start playing it in my head. I'm riding the bass drum a little bit more. Okay.
Yep.
I'm glad you learned it though. Are you a drummer, Jonas?
I have been accused of such in the past.
Oh boy, it's time, folks. We got a member exclusive video to make in the future.
Love a good
Get the drum kits. Here we go.
Kalioth for 5. Why? You want to do some flams? You want to do some paradiddle? Want to go through the 35 essential rudiments?
You and we're going to put on our best Neil Peart and have at it.
Oh no. My best Neil Peart is it ain't that good. Kalioth 5.
Inner Sandman. Here we go.
Yeah. Pro Jonas. The dates referred to the Odyssey release date. If it's so epic, why did it avoid the key release dates? All smoke and mirrors.
All smoke and mirrors,
folks.
And before somebody says anything, I'm not saying that Neil Peart plays Inner Sandman. I just want everybody to understand. I made an awkward segue there. Okay.
I loved Buddy Rich's work in Rush. I just have to say. Let's see.
Go ahead, Lars. What else you got?
WJB Daily. Sorry, I got to go take down Napster. WJB Daily for 5. Huntsville, Alabama Odyssey local theater today. 3 IMAX at 50 to 55% sold. 4 regular shows at 1% sold.
I'm not going to be surprised. I'm not predicting this. Don't anybody come back with a clip and say Pro said so. But I am not going to be surprised if we get another Moana situation where they did not see this coming. It won't do. There's no way it can do as bad as Supergirl and Moana. It's just impossible. But don't be shocked if it comes in 10, 15, 20 below what they're expecting. That's possible.
Yep.
Not a given. Possible.
Yep. Liberty Hall's cat for $20 for the cause.
I know what you want. You just do it again, right? We'll do. Listen, you're a friend here.
God dang it, from the bottom of our hearts here on the WDW Pro channel, thank you.
Now that's American.
Mm-hmm. Blah, 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 blah for 5. 8 out of the 25 70mm IMAX are near Hollywood.
Yep.
In like news, flights to Burbank Airport are hard to get, while flights themselves remain 50% empty. I've flown into the Burbank Airport, and is it Bob Hope that is in Burbank?
I think Bob Hope has passed away, Jonas.
With the airport. The
airport, yeah.
Or maybe it was John Wayne. It was somebody with like a 2-syllable name.
You get this wrong again, we're going to duke. We're just going to get your dukes out and have at it. You ever mess this up again?
I was on my way to Pasadena, so.
You little old lady, let's go.
Yep. Irate Specialist for $2. TPPU isn't complete without a magical girl, Jonas. Yeah, we do need a magical girl in there.
Magical girl, Jonas.
Oh, me being the magical girl. Well,
magical.
I'm a heartbreaker, though. I'll tell you that. Detail double for $2. Screenshot says IMAX 2D. Fandango uses IMAX 70mm.
Okay. Well, we'll go back and see what that stat is. Give us a few, and we'll check it. But I thought the IMAX 2D with the premium next to that was their signature for 70mm. We'll double check it.
Yep. Let's see here. Timu, Dr. Demento for 5. Drummers of the world, unite. I have one more reason to feel like I belong.
Hey, just set the beat with us, and we'll just keep on playing.
That's right. Just a Zildjian man through and through. Dude Man Cuz gifted 50 WDW Pro memberships. That's a lot of memberships. What are you doing?
Dude, doing that thing you do. Sing it, Jonas.
breaking my heart into. It's a higher song. Sorry, I want something peppy, something snappy.
50 for you.
I quit, Mr. White. I quit.
You quit. Listen, that's a lot of memberships. Folks, get out the celebratory torches and don't burn anything down. Just say a huge thank you to Dude Man Cuz. Member exclusive content coming next week. And he got you past the bouncer.
Every time a membership is gifted, a content creator gets his wings.
Is that gendered language?
We're not at Magic Kingdom, Dad.
A blindfolded half-court shot that is now the talk of campus and beyond.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? Did you see it? Yeah. Is that on tape? Yeah. You are kidding me.
Wow. Wow.
Breaking my heart into... Oh, sorry. Dude Man Cuz, thank you. Thank you so much. Look at all that green out there.
Such a great movie, That Thing You Do. And it's a testament to editing down a movie can actually make it a lot better.
That is a short movie.
Scenes, it is. And if you see what was cut out of it, they could have left it in, but it wouldn't have been as good of a movie. So, Alingin or Alingin for 2. Marketing idea for TPPCU. Zaxby's tie-in. Oh, man.
That would make Lorne happy. He
very excited.
Lorne discovered Zaxby's the last time we did a big trip together, and he loved it. He loved Zaxby's.
He wasn't aware of Zaxby's?
I mean, he knew about it, but he'd never had Zaxby's.
First of all, Zaxby's we joke that Chick-fil-A is the Lord's chicken and that Zaxby's is chicken for heathens because Zaxby's is open on Sundays. But man, that Texas toast, so good.
I've said it before. I'll say it again, though, in favor of Chick-fil-A, their lemonade that they squeeze daily, and the fact that you can get a diet large lemonade, now that's a road trip. Sorry, Buc-ee's.
Yep. Chef Eddie Jonas did the drums for the Liberty Cat promo. That's right. I had to work on my my bounce on my rolls.
And I whistled the flute.
Yep. The first Dragon Queen for 2. I only want photo evidence. Reel is in hand Friday.
24 hours. 24 hours until the reel to reel is here.
Is this evidence of Lauren in South Carolina?
No, Culture's supposed to be bringing the reel to reel that First Dragon Queen made.
Oh, she made
for the studio, Jonas.
Really? That's amazing. Really?
Really.
Dude Man Cuz for $2. Hoping to see you guys this weekend. That's awesome, Dude Man Cuz.
Yeah, we'd do more than that. We'd like to shake your hand. Stop on by and see us and greet us. We'd love to get to meet you.
Yep. It'll be a treat.
That's right. Jonas J. Campbell, we've got one more story because we are still doing everything we can to get everything in today, and that includes the Odyssey live review. Folks, I'm going to try to do it probably at 8 p.m., maybe 9 p.m. I'll post it after the show. We'll decide. It depends on how long this thing goes. If everything goes to plan, I'm out of there around 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We got to get ready for the trip. Got it. Anyway, I don't want to get people into the weeds, but we'll do the Odyssey live review tonight. I think it's going to be a great thing. I'll tell you what I really think about it. And then tomorrow, of course, Southeast Game Exchange. But that's why we got one more story. Normally, we'd go longer. But, ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you we're wrapping up today with another DEI Disney disaster? It's true. The cost of diversity and inclusion, DEI, has struck Disney yet again. Why did Moana tell audiences, you don't want to be here? You're not going to buy tickets? Well, maybe because they got rid of the fan favorites, and here we go. From Cinema Blend by Mac Rodden, it says, why Lin-Manuel Miranda is no longer the lead vocalist on a key Moana song. Well, that's just genius, isn't it? Let's go ahead and justify more reasons why Moana failed. Here we go, folks, and I'll explain it for you. A lot of Moana fans are talking about the similarities between the OG Disney animated movie and the live-action adaptation.
There are similarities? What?
I think what they're actually talking about is how badly this is flopping, but okay. It says a lot of the more interesting conversations are around the changes that were made. Some of them are bigger and will be obvious to anyone who has seen both movies, But there are also a lot that are more subtle and won't be immediately noticeable to the casual viewer, of course, who did not go see the film, so it won't matter anyway. As an example, ladies and gentlemen, megastar Lin-Manuel Miranda no longer sings "We Know the Way." No, he doesn't sing that. No way, go away, Lin-Manuel Miranda. You're not allowed. Why? Hang on, I'll explain. It says he's the most prominent voice in the original version of the standout track that's been streamed nearly. Yes, he is.
Opatai Fa'oi is the person who sings the start of that song, and then he comes in on the chorus.
Okay, but he leads the chorus. He's the English singer.
He does. I'm disagreeing with the
articles. And open says. That's what it is. We know who we are. That thing. Okay. He returned to work on the music for the new movie, but ultimately the team decided to replace his vocal with Moses Mackey. Now you might say, okay, well, they had a better singer. No, they did not. It has nothing to do with that. And they could have released the thing with Lin-Manuel Miranda singing in a slightly different way. They didn't do that. So why? Why did they do it? Here you go, folks. When it came time to make the new movie, both Cale, okay, that's director, and Lin-Manuel Miranda felt like it was a good opportunity to turn the track over to a Polynesian voice. So Lin-Manuel Miranda can't sing the song because Moses Mackey is Polynesian and Lin-Manuel Miranda is whatever Lin-Manuel Miranda is. I don't know. I'm not going to presume to know. We could look it up.
He's New York, Puerto Rican, I believe.
Maybe, right? He is. But, okay. He's not allowed to sing. Meanwhile, we're going to get Moses Mackey. And I'm sorry. It's just not as good. I listened to it. It's not as good. So it says, this felt like an opportunity to have a Polynesian voice. Lin was the first person to say, yes, let's go do that. And we found an amazing singer to join us, Moses. So that's the voice that you hear in the vocal. Now, why then did the crab? What's his name, Jonas? What's the crab's name down there? Shiny crab. What's his name? Tamatoa.
Tamatoa didn't always feel so glam.
Who plays that guy? Is it the same guy?
Jermaine Clement.
Okay. Do you know why he gets to reclaim the role, Jonas?
Well, because he's got Maori ancestry, and he's also got a great voice.
And because he's playing a crab.
Right.
So it turns out if you're playing a crab, you can be anything.
Well, no, they hired him because he's Maori, probably because Taika Waititi is a good friend of his and wrote the original script for Moana. He's since kind of said there's almost nothing left from his script, but I'm sure that Jermaine
Taika Waititi wrote the first Moana script?
Yes, he did. Yes.
No way.
Absolutely. Yes. So
all right. Yep. Well, bottom line here. So why, Jonas, did we not get some of the folks who worked on the first movie in it, like Lin-Manuel Miranda, featured in the film itself?
Because they couldn't afford him.
Okay, wait. Okay. Now that's an interesting angle. So are you telling me that you think that they're virtue signaling that we couldn't put Lin-Manuel on the track because he's New York, Puerto Rican. He's not Polynesian. We had to get a Polynesian guy named Moses. And in fact, Jonas, you're saying that the reality is it would have cost them extra cash to get Lin-Manuel Miranda to sing again. Is that what you're...
So
I can't believe you would say this.
Look at this entire situation.
This is harsh.
So obviously there's a lot of cross-pollination between Moana and Hamilton. Tommy Kail, who is the director of Moana live action, was the director of Hamilton and was there from the start of that first White House event where he premiered the first Hamilton song. Christopher Judge, he's black. He played Washington in Hamilton. He's in Moana as a Pacific Islander. It's not like they've become more woke since then. They were just as woke at the time in their American history musical that features very few white people in lead parts. So this is one of those things where they're picking and they're choosing what they want. As The Rock gets older, he's wanting to choose his Polynesian heritage to be like the primary thing about him, when he was intentionally race ambiguous in the first part of his career. It's just funny watching them just fall over themselves in all of this. Flight of the Conchords actually has a scene and Taika Waititi was of course involved in that in some way as well, where Jermaine Clement actually refuses to participate in something because he's half Maori. Now, the thing they were trying to get him to do was offensive in the show, and it's hilarious that he didn't want to do it. But Clement as Tamatoa is perfect casting. But Lin-Manuel Miranda refusing to sing on We Know the Way on a chorus that has no language in it that is for him to speak, that is
Right.
Whatever language they're speaking, Polynesian, let's say. Opatai Fo'oi, who they're apparently not bringing out for the press on this, wrote all of the native language stuff for the original musical soundtrack. I also noticed, I think Christoph Beck was one of the trio of people who wrote songs for this. So, there's a lot of race shielding going on, which I think audiences are getting more uncomfortable with. But the real truth of it is, Lin-Manuel Miranda had nothing to do with Moana 2. And Lin-Manuel Miranda did one song that sounded like it was the leavings of Moana for the soundtrack of the live action Moana. So I think it's one. And who did they bring in for it? Auli Cravalho.
So, well, and the problem is when she starts singing, you've already been listening to all the songs in the live action Moana and thinking, this girl's trying her best, and this is not her fault. I mean, that's the
right.
She's singing great, but you can't match Auli Cravalho. Okay, so and then she comes in, on the beginning song of the credits, and you go, "Yep, that's Moana." There's the actual Moana voice. So, Jonas, my question for you is regarding Moana 3, because I would say that's a film that's deeply in danger now. They've destroyed this franchise, and Tangled will not face this kind of an issue. But when they do Moana 3 now, do you think they're going to try to do everything with Polynesian actors still, or are they going to say, you know what, we've had enough of this, we're going to be authentic and we're going to try to cast people, but it's okay if some pale-skinned fellow decides to write a lyric or two. It's okay if Lin-Manuel Miranda wants to sing, or we pay him exorbitant amounts of money to sing a line or two. It's okay. We don't have to scrub everything that's not Polynesian from these films.
Right. So I think that if they have any sense in their head, they'll bring Lin-Manuel Miranda back for whatever rate that he wants to pay for this. But also I'm going to point out that live action Moana didn't do that great at the box office. Neither did the Mufasa, the Lion King, and Lin-Manuel Miranda was on the soundtrack for that. The fact that the Tony Awards, where Hamilton swept the Tonys for, in the same way that the producers did all those years ago. My Broadway knowledge has reached its limit here for the most part, by the way. I think it was a big moment for Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is very talented, and he needs years to write good music the way he did with Hamilton, or a team like he did with Moana. And I don't know that Disney is in the business of hiring teams and having patience to make a musical, which takes 5 or 6 years to do it, and be willing to put it back to the drawing board. I think they're more on that DreamWorks. And I don't even mean to insult DreamWorks, because I think current DreamWorks is better than this now. But they're on that DreamWorks thing where they're either doing refreshings of their IP, or they're trying to get something out as soon as they can. I say that with full knowledge that DreamWorks has kind of changed as a studio and is actually a lot more serious about what they do. Wild Robot was beautiful and should have got them Best Animated Picture. So I think that if they don't bring back Lin-Manuel Miranda for number 3, they're silly. But I'm going to point out that Moana 2 introduced the idea of multiple pantheons of gods, specifically African gods, coming in. Well, that's the story.
That's because it was supposed to be episodic. It was a crappy episodic TV show that and we smushed all that into a silly movie that doesn't work. What a horrible film! So destroyed the franchise, and here we are.
They've made Moana into a god, and they have basically
they're going to scrub that. That's got to go.
Put together the idea. No, she's got some kind of magic glowy skin thing that she's on the level of.
We can just erase that now. It's time to just erase it, John.
Or she'll be depowered immediately, and give it to somebody who is more deserving. And
memory hole it, act like it never happened. That's what I do in Moana 3. I'd be like, Moana 2 never happened, and the live action never happened, and let's just go.
That's what a sane person would do. But what Disney is going to do, if Jennifer Lee Disney does this, they hand the power set onto someone who is a darker skin tone than Moana, and then they reset Moana to be a wayfarer again.
Nobody screws up like Jennifer Lee. Señor Juanes, necesitamos los mensajes
John
de
Wayne
super chats.
Yeah, John Wayne Airport is in Orange County, California. Thank you, Pilgrim. It must have been John Wayne.
Get your dukes up.
Yep. Cuban Superman, member for 25 months. Thank you very much, sir. Chick-fil-A uses contraceptives on their chickens,
but not on their lemons. Drink the lemonade.
I don't know. Considering the number of homeschool families I've seen in there with many children, I doubt that there's any kind of contraceptive.
Jonas, it's not trying to stop humans. It's to stop the chickens.
Oh,
they're amorous.
Amorous chickens. Cuban Superman for $2. He's more crab than Liz Warren is Native American. I love that perfect David Bowie on that though. It was just there's nobody like him. That I bet you would help me if I was a cool Jamaican crib.
That's a great impression. Holy moly. You've got to talk like that for entire shows. Just don't do anything else.
The New Zealand accent is actually quite difficult because they reverse the vowel sounds.
Give it to us again. More of the crab. Let's go.
Let's now I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not being weird. This is what I'm like.
Tell us that she's used bioluminescent algae as a diversion.
One form of bioluminescent algae meant to distract me.
Jonas, I'm going to pay you just to talk like that.
Right. You know what? The best the best New Zealand accent though is that lady who played Topaz in Thor Ragnarok. When she's in Hunt for the Wilder People, Sam Neill, may he rest in peace. Actually, a great Taika Waititi film. When she's talking about how she's Sarah Connor, not Sarah Connor like in the first film, Sarah Connor in the second film when she's done all the pull-ups.
Just keep talking that way, buddy. Just keep talking that way. Jonas Kiwi.
I have nothing to say. Well, come to Southeast Game Exchange. I can't do it.
All right, just tell us all about it. What?
I'm going to switch to Morgan Freeman. Please, I welcome you to enjoy the fruits of life here at Southeast Game Exchange 2026, July 17th through 19th in Greenville, South Carolina. A wonderful state just north of Georgia.
And to the east. Friday, 2 p.m., 7 p.m., folks, come join us. That's tomorrow. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Fake Wizard and I will be meeting and greeting on Sunday at 2 p.m. We'll have the games going all the time. You can still come by and say hi. And got all kinds of stuff going on. Valiant Renegade, Force of Light. We've got Critical Drinker. We got so many more. Come join us. Marv will be there. Lauren will be there if we can possibly fly him in his little dinghy drop down. Culture Casino. The list goes on and on. Folks, we can't wait to see you. And I am off, Jonas, to see the Odyssey.
The mainstream media just can't understand how it is we continue to do what we do. They don't realize that we are powered by you, and you are...
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts!
Folks, we've still got decades and decades left in the can. It drives the mainstream mad.
Would it make you feel any better if you knew that what we're asking Matt here to do is a holy thing?
You see, we're on a mission from God. We're on a mission from God.
Now you're gonna put me right back in the joint.
They're not gonna catch us. We're on a mission from God.
So folks, as we always say, as we end each and every show here, and we mean it, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Every time they hit him, he stood back up again. So they hit him harder. Still, he got back to his feet. Standing man.